You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Aha. Now, Donald, we've done a little sport first. We did.
Can we do a little bit more on sport?
Yes, we're doing a little bit more because I was bringing up this when we truncated the conversation about this book out called Crimo. Now, remember there was some chat about it a couple of months ago on this very forum. Someone had criticised you because they said you didn't. You were the casting vote that didn't select Peter Crimmins in a grand final. Do you remember that?
No. Hang on, no.
Well, go on then. What?
Well, I didn't have a casting vote. I wasn't a member of the.
No, but it was suggested in this book by the Crimmins people and Peter himself said that you were the casting vote, and that's why he didn't get a game in the. And Mike Sheehan, who's I think might be coming back on. I think as soon as might be coming back on the podcast. I think he's eager to come back on, Don, but he's waiting for that general period. You know, time is a great healer, where people. The man who published this book, Jeff Slattery, I think is one of the main people who said, Mick, why are you on this show? Mind you, do you know we asked Jeff Slattery to come on and be the third person, replace Mike? He could be the voice of reason. And he rejected that, but loves to tell people we asked him. So anyhow, and we still ask him again. But he says here, Peter Crimmins, it was said, took exception to you because he didn't like you, and that's fair enough. He said you were insular and a bit like you were talking about the Brisbane Lions. You didn't smile and you didn't get on with people, and that's fine. But it was generally considered that you were the casting vote as to why he didn't get a game in the grand final. And that actually has been refuted in the book by people like Bob Keddy, who said it wasn't fair, and Ken Herbert, I think, had a casting vote on whether Crimmins got a game in the grand final, and it was generally believed and conceded that John Kennedy Sr., the coach at the time, actually said that he didn't think Peter Crimmins should be playing because of his injury, where he had to have his...
Can I just pull you up?
Yes.
There was no such thing as a casting vote.
Right, that's
correct. Okay, so you've got something wrong there. It didn't come down to a casting vote at all.
Don, I'm your ally here. I'm agreeing with you.
No. Anybody, I'm defending everybody that was at that meeting. It didn't come to a casting vote.
No, it didn't. It was just a majority decision. Well, I'm agreeing with you.
Who said it was casting vote?
Well, he did.
No, I'm just wondering, where did he get that from?
No, where did you get that from?
It said people forgot, I'm quoting, people forgot Ken Herbert was on the executive of the club for a while for business acumen. And this is what Stuart Trott said. I tend to believe what Scotty says, having a little say in the decision. I feel for Scotty because Scotty got the blame for it, but he deserves better. If anyone made the call, it was Herbert. John, this is John Kennedy, was the one who decided that Crimmins couldn't play. So they are absolving you, Donald, from the criticism you received probably from the Crimmins camp, that you were a deciding vote which saw him not be selected. This has been refuted by several people, and that's in the book called Crimo, which is written by Dan Eddy and published by Jeff Slattery from Slattery Publications. And Mick gave us this book. It's a very nice book. I'm not sure how sales are going, but the salacious parts of it are that you, because you are the man of the moment, have been blamed for everything that probably you didn't have much control over because you just exercised your democratic right to vote one way or the other. And you were not to know, Donald, that Peter Crimmins was... his illness was going to end up in his being fatal. You didn't know that, and that's not the reason you didn't vote for him. The fact that he had to strap his... What did he have to strap? His groin to his scrotum?
His testicle.
His testicle to his... Because it was swollen, and you thought probably, generally, people thought that you wouldn't go into a grand final if you had that injury. Is that fair or not?
What I'm more interested in, did I get acknowledgement in that book for proof reading or proof approving all the photographs that were there?
Well,
every photograph there was run past me as to see as
I think
correct.
They're in the general domain. I think they're in the public domain. There's a picture of Crimmins leading you out. He's the captain, you're the vice captain. You're running out behind him, Donald. They're down the race. That must have gritted you. That would be hard to swallow. That you've got to eat humble pie running out behind the man you didn't vote for.
I was vice captain.
That's right, and he
was a captain.
That's
so
right.
So where does a vice captain?
And he said you didn't support him in any way at all. This is in one of the quotes in the book.
I just wanted acknowledgement for proofreading all those photographs.
I cannot support Don Scott because he never gave me any support. So it's a book. You're laced throughout it, Donald, with a view to selling it, I think, marketing it. All the rest is window dressing, but your gruff attitude and the fact you didn't smile and you didn't vote for him has actually pushed this onto the best. I'm not sure how many. How much is it, incidentally? Let's see. Crimo, let's how much could you snap it up for? Where's the price of it? Slattery publication, the Slattery Media Group. Jeff, there's a lot of photos in here. You, Don, scouring.
I know. I was on the phone for a long time. I put a lot of work into that.
So you helped them stitch you up?
What did I say?
Did
I say I proofread the photographs?
Did you know that they were going to stitch you up?
Yeah. Well, what do you
No, just it's unusual.
Why?
Well,
this is what Bob Keddy says about you. This is Bob. No, he said, Crimo embraced everybody and everybody loved him, Keddy said. Whatever Don was, whereas Don was most reclusive during his playing days, he was very angry with his teammates, and if they didn't do what he expected of them, he was very savage on them. That's fair enough. That's your policy about the Brisbane Lions, that they were serious and didn't smile, whereas Richmond, the coach, was late to the playing of the grand final and the welcome to country, and that they were smiling during the preamble to the game, Don. That's why Richmond failed. You haven't smiled since you stopped playing.
I just smiled today.
I haven't smiled today because I told you I'm very sleepy. I feel like I want to go to bed.
$34.95, that book.
So anyhow, that was
Little Sir Echo, 30 what?
$34.95
at all good bookstores,
and the bad ones too.
So that's so Don. We're getting on to general things, and we're not going to mention the government, the Victorian government, because we have a man coming on. We're going to speak to. I can say who we're going to speak to. It's Jeff Kennett, who I think is just about at boiling point with this government, not because he's of a different political persuasion, but of course he is, but the fact that, and I think everyone that is not absolutely a rabid supporter of Dan Andrews would say he is it's an extraordinary what he's doing. He has no interest, and so we're going to speak to Jeff about that. So we'll leave that till later.
Can we talk about who we got next week?
Oh, thank you.
Because we'll let Don know.
Yeah, let me know like 5 minutes beforehand.
We're pretty excited, actually.
Oh, incidentally, Peter Jones, Percy,
we're not going to talk about it.
That went out over very well. Percy Jones, he was extraordinarily popular. He had he had about 15,000 downloads of his.
He's got more than that.
More.
50,000 downloads. And Simon O'Donnell last week, I got a text from the man who owns the Cathedral Golf Club, who that's
what's his name?
David Evans.
Oh, okay.
Who remember Sim said that I
had a piss.
Urinated on.
Yeah.
And I thought, I saw his name on the text, David Evans. I thought, he's going to shout at me. He said that is the funniest thing he's ever. Simon O'Donnell speaking about.
How did you get up talking about that cathedral? How did you two get up there? By helicopter?
On a helicopter, yes.
You went by helicopter.
That's correct, Don. Yes, there's
what value would there be for you and Simon O'Donnell playing around Cathedral? Why would they waste a helicopter flight on you?
They don't waste it. You pay for it.
Oh,
yeah. What?
Really?
What do you think? You think David Evans sends a helicopter down?
There must be bottomless pit somewhere.
What's that, Don?
A bottomless pit of money
for the people renting the helicopter.
Yes.
Well, Don, this is how it works, mate. The helicopter, I think, is $700 an hour.
Right.
Maybe. It takes...
An hour?
No, it takes 12 minutes to get there.
Well, from where?
From the outside the casino.
To...
Maybe 20 minutes, right? 20 minutes. And if there's 4 of you in the helicopter, you divide 4 into 800, which goes 200, doesn't it? It's $200. David very kindly let us play on there as a sponsorship treat for us. So it cost $200 for the day to fly up on the helicopter, as opposed to spending a couple of hours in the car driving up through the Black Spur, Don. I drove up through the Black Spur. Oh, well, I shouldn't say this. No, I won't say that. I drove up with Shane Warne in his car up through the Black Spur one day. That was an experience. Shane's a very good driver and likes to drive reasonably quickly, but keeps well within the speed limit. But
he straightened out a few of those curves, did he?
Some of those bends are pretty sharp, and while there is a speed limit, to go through those bends at the speed limit is quite hair-raising, and it was quite exciting. Took me about 12 holes to just settle down. When I got to the cathedral, that was his ploy, you see. We bet for a little bit of money, not a lot, and by the time I settled down after the car ride, he had well and truly boxed me into a corner, Donald. Now...
What about a film script? I've just come up with a film script. You ready?
Holy shit. Yep, no, I am.
I think there's one just starting to brew at the moment.
Okay.
George Pell and Giovanni Bacchini.
I beg pardon?
They're both cardinals.
Yes.
At the Vatican.
Mm-hmm. You play George Pell, will you? Would you play George Pell?
I just think what is going on there with the money situation, like Pell was in charge or trying to straighten out the coffers, and the money that supposedly $1.4 million, I think it was, came to Australia, and the buying of luxury apartments in London and the intrigue that's going on. Why would Pell go back?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, John.
Now, please, Don, don't say you're a smart ass or anything. Could you tell me what you're talking about? George Pell,
we all know. Well, don't you read the papers
yes,
or follow
George
the
Pell
news?
was accused of shuffling people like Jeffrey Risdon or whatever his name is, Jared Risdon
all
around.
Of that, we all know about George Pell, but over in the Vatican right now there is Cardinal Giovanni.
Yes.
Whatever. Can't pronounce his surname, B-double-C.
Whatever.
I-U. And he is in charge of finance.
Yes.
Now, Pell was also in that department before he left.
Yes.
He was trying to straighten out the papal finances.
Yes.
And there's a little bit of
skullduggery
going on that the papal money has gone into the buying of luxury units or property in London.
George is buying...
Also, the $1.4 million has come over here. I don't think there is any love lost between the two, so it could be an interesting scenario as to what happens. And why would Pell go back to the Vatican too?
So George Pell, you're saying, has now transferred some money into buying some property?
No. He was overlooking...
I can't understand what you're talking about.
Oh, God.
Everybody
else can accept you, I realise.
Can you, Rocket, can you understand it?
Not sure.
He had no idea. So George Pell, is he misappropriated some money for his own use?
No, he was overlooking the finance, trying to straighten out the papal finances before he came to Australia.
And Giovanni has been rorting the system.
Well, we just leave it open at this stage.
Will we?
It could be a very good film script.
Okay, would you play George Pell if you were asked? If they said, Don, we've got a film script for you, could you read the script? Would you like to play George Pell?
How do you think I'd go? I think I'd do a terrific job. George has got no personality.
No, that's right. You're through to the semis without dropping a set
right.
there.
You'd need a rug.
A rug?
Yeah.
A rug?
To look like him.
Yeah. And you'd have to get one of those big
He's a tall man. He's a tall man.
And you have to have one of those big gowns that he wears when he does communion, you know, the ones that...
Caftan.
Yeah, that's right. And this was one of the anomalies of the man who gave evidence. Said that when George was accused of having some sexual dalliance with those boys, that he opened the front of his caftan, and George said through his solicitor that he didn't open anything. He said if anyone wanted to have a look at his bits and pieces, they'd have to lift it up. So it was a discrepancy between what they said he could do and what he couldn't do with his caftan, Donald, let alone what's under the caftan. So who would you get to play Giovanni? Me. I could play opposite you. You could be George, and I could be Giovanni, and Rocket here could be George Risdon. What's his name? Jared Risdon. Risley.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, he
It's
could
not
be
a
Jared
comedy.
Risdon.
No, I didn't think of this as a comedy.
It would have to be.
Jared
what
Risdon.
Boys,
How
what
is
about daylight saving? I know you haven't fixed the clock here now. Can you tell me why it has come in so early this year?
It's always this week.
Well, you're not happy
It
with
is.
it?
I thought it was 4 weeks later.
Well, what does it matter?
Well, even with coronavirus going on at the moment,
What, you say
doesn't that
November?
encourage people to go out and enjoy the outdoors? We're in lockdown.
Well, we'll ask Jeff about that.
Well, no, well, we're not. We haven't got a curfew anymore.
Yeah, we have.
Well, you know, 5.
there's no curfew.
Yeah, we
The
cannot
curfew's over.
travel. We cannot travel.
What?
The curfew's over.
You don't have to be in by 9.
No,
So you can stay out all
No,
night.
no, no.
I didn't know that.
the curfew finished last Sunday before last.
I'm so
I
confused
thought
with
it
all of
was
this.
just eased out an hour.
I
Instead
thought
of
it was
being
gone
in
out an hour. Yes, exactly.
Really? Well, everybody
Yes.
was in the park out front of my place until all hours on Sunday,
When?
Saturday.
Don't say where.
Well, I'm happy to say
no, don't
Yarra
say-
Park. Yarra Park.
Rocket.
Oh,
Rocket.
don't- why would you say that? The police will be around there in 5 minutes to
Rocket.
beat
Oh,
them
well,
up. On a hot
I'm
day,
pretty sure they
there was a
know
hot
it.
day
Mate.
on the weekend. Everyone went to the beach. There's a lot of trouble down there. Now you've put all the residents in of East Melbourne about Yarra Park.
It wasn't the residents. Let me
Oh,
say.
who was it?
Who knows? But it's like a bunch
So,
of blow-ins we'd never seen before.
You know what happened? The police came around and visited him because he opened his mouth. Now you've put all your friends. You haven't got any.
You
anyway.
whack, Rocket, you whack us for, you're just speaking crap. There's no, there's a
curfew's
curfew.
over, isn't
Well,
it?
go
Surely.
on.
No.
I don't think,
Oh,
think.
it
No,
went
because
back an hour.
remember they changed it. Hang
Do
on,
it.
hang on. Remember they changed it the Sunday before last Monday when the court hearing was to take place about the legality of it.
Yep.
And then they said they thought that because the curfew had been taken away,
No.
that court case wouldn't go ahead, but it
Okay.
still did.
So there's no curfew.
no
You can
curfew.
stay
Oh,
out
there
till
is.
3 in the morning if you wish.
That's
Go
right.
on,
There's
check
no
it, please.
curfew.
So
So the people in front of
Why
my
were the
park didn't
beaches
do anything
open?
wrong.
Why were the beaches open? How do you contain people anyway on a fine day like we had on the weekend? 27 degrees.
you're not allowed to out for more than 2 hours. Are you? Don't tell me that's been taken away as well. I think you can't go out for more than 2 hours, and you've got to be in by
Yep,
9
it
o'clock.
ended on the 27th of the 9th.
The curfew.
Yep.
What? The 8
Well, yeah,
o'clock
but hang on.
curfew?
Till what hour?
Yeah.
No, there's no curfew anymore.
No, I think
This
is so confusing.
The 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew is over, and so too is the 9 o'clock one. It's over.
Well, I didn't
I
know
didn't
that.
know
There
exactly.
you are. Well, look, we are ultra-crepidarians.
I must admit, I'm losing a bit of interest in the whole thing that's going on.
What about this? The government, here's the government again, through the health minister, said you cannot wear a bandana or a scarf to cover your nose and mouth. Who says you? Why can't you
I know.
wear a
I-
bandana or a
it's-
scarf to cover your face?
That is an unbelievable. I don't hold these people. They don't hold credence
makes
as far
that
as I'm
up?
concerned. I know. We were supposed to wear gloves initially. Do you remember going back into March where it was suggested wear gloves when you go to the supermarket? Everyone was cleaning
If the
everything.
idea-
And they said that masks don't do anything. If you go back to March, masks don't stop this virus. Now we've got to wear masks.
If the idea is, Donald, to stop the spread of coronavirus through nasal residence or breath, and you cover your face, what's
I know.
it matter what
I
you
know,
cover
you
your
get-
mouth and face and nose with?
Get no argument.
And here's my other thing. Tell me this, I'm on this about, you are telling me that in this day and age that we live in, that the police will nab you, this is not the police's fault, this is the people who make the laws, that you can't put your arm on the door sill of your car if the window is down, and or you'll get fined 3 points or 300
That's
bucks.
been in for a long time.
Why? If
That's
you
been
want to
since
put
I
the
was a
arm,
kid.
if you want to put your elbow on the open door,
No, you're not allowed to, John. That's been in for a long time.
why aren't you allowed to?
Well, if they consider it dangerous. You might have
Dangerous to who?
yourself, number one. You
Well,
might have your arm taken off.
So if you ride a
But
motorbike,
that's nothing new.
if you ride a scooter or a motorbike or a push bike and you've got a helmet on, there is no part of you that is protected on either of those three forms of transport, and yet you can't put your elbow on the door sill of your car when the window's down. Why do we put up with nonsense like this? Who says that? Why, if you want to put your arm on the window...
Well, we're being run by bureaucrats. I think this has exposed...
It's
this
just
coronavirus thing
unbelievable.
has made us aware of a lot of things. And one is the people that run the state, the bureaucrats, leave a lot to be desired. And now they're under the microscope. And I think a lot of these positions is a job for the boys there, and they're on very, very good money. And the other interesting thing is, we're talking about bureaucrats and whatever else, the Sam Burgess thing, which
Yes.
was reported
Yes.
in the Australian over the weekend. They had text and telephone
Yes.
calls and whatever else. How come they can use those, text and telephone, or they've got access to those things, text and telephone calls, yet the state government, those people
Yes.
were texting and telephone calls, yet there's no record. There's 6 minutes of no records.
Because they're liars.
That's
and they're
right, but how come they can get it and publish? I thought it might have been against the law to do what they've done to Sam Burgess.
He's a very nice man, Sam Burgess. I know the Burgess boys. I'm not condoning. I'm not sure what he's done. I'm not condoning.
Well, that's the other thing. What has he done? Has there been any charges laid?
Not sure.
You know, there's accusations of domestic violence, drug taking, and affairs.
So, yes.
What are you mouthing, Rod?
Well, affairs aren't illegal, are they?
No, but
Was he texting? Was it
Well, we
harassment? Was it by texting?
well, we don't know. But they were using text messages
Yeah, right.
and telephone calls. Yet, I thought that might have been against the law.
Just as a matter of interest, notice Harvey Weinstein again has been charged with another 3 rapes. If ever there was a piece of shit on this planet, as opposed to the other people I've called pieces of shit, Harvey Weinstein is one of them, along with the other 2 people I called pieces of shit. I only got into trouble for calling one other person a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, we won't go there.
Who was the third that we, not the one we don't need to revisit. Who was the third?
Jeffrey Epstein
that's right,
and
yeah.
Jazane Maxwell.
Yep.
Piece of shit.
So
The
there's
4 of
4,
those people I mentioned.
What about a little bit closer to home, talking about incompetence and
Yes.
whatever else, and
Come on.
questions should be asked? North Melbourne Football Club,
Oh, yes.
are they an assisted? Oh, I think they are. I'm asking the question. I probably know. They're an assisted AFL club.
Yep.
Okay.
Most are.
Well, yes,
Don't-
that's a very good point.
Don't
Most
drop
are.
the voice down. Speak
Oh,
loudly.
the microphone is
Yes, but
1
you,
inch.
But you dropped your voice down as though you're whispering because you didn't want anyone to hear what you're going to say. Say it. Go on.
You're a control freak.
Say it.
Why haven't they been put under the microscope in regard to terminating all their assistant coaches? There's payouts. Jade Rawlings, an assistant coach, got a 2-year payout in his contract.
Yes.
Did they pay out the other assistants, such as Jared Rivers, and the list goes on? I think Jared Moore's down there. Heath Scotland, Jason Lappin, Brendan Whitecross played at Hawthorn.
So what's
Yeah,
the
but
question?
hang on. Yet they can go and appoint John Blakey.
Yes.
And they're talking about Paul Roos. Now, Paul Roos doesn't come for 2 and 6. Paul Roos will be asking
6.
2 and 6. Remember
Yeah.
2 and 6, 2 shillings.
I know.
and
We
sixpence.
remember it.
Yes, righto. Well,
You
the
used to get
younger
a-
generation might.
You
that
used to
was
get a
30
florin.
pence. 30 pence.
Or a florin.
Florin was
50.
50.
No,
50
florin was 2 bob and 2, just over 2 and 3.
2 and 1, wasn't it?
A
2 and
florin.
10. 2 and 10.
A florin was more than 2 bob.
What was 5 bob?
What?
What was 5 bob? I thought that was a florin.
5 bob.
5 shillings.
5 shillings. 5 shilling. Yeah, you're gone.
10 shillings a pound.
What's a bob again for us that don't know?
A bob. Bob was 10p.
10 cents.
10 pence.
10 cents. A bob. A
No,
shilling.
No, it's not called cents. It was 10.
It's a
10
bob was a
pennies.
shilling.
A shilling.
And that's 10 cents.
10 bob. 10 bob is 10 shillings.
Yeah.
A guinea was 21.
Yeah, that's right.
£2 1 pence.
One
wonder
pound.
No,
One
at
pound,
10
one.
I wonder why they
One-
changed it.
Anyhow, Don, go on. You're two, Bob.
It was multiples of 12, I think.
And when did it come in,
Quid.
decimal
What?
currency?
What was a quid?
A quid was a quid's a pound.
Or was it
pound.
21 pence?
And also a pouch of tobacco, a quid. Don, when did it
anyway-
come in? When did decimal currency come in?
1967?
6.
You sure?
No. 66.
I think it was 67.
66. This I
Yeah,
say.
you might be right. You're right. Yes, I agree. I was just thinking back because where I was working at that stage,
So,
I received £9 a week back in those days.
what are you worried about them not paying
Well-
out those people they've let go at
Well,
North
no, I
Melbourne?
just think it should be put under scrutiny, North Melbourne. They talk about, they're an AFL-assisted club. They've sacked all the assistants. There's huge payouts, and they're backing up Reece Shaw.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you have to question, if they're putting Paul Roos in and John Blakey to help Reece Shaw, shouldn't the people who appointed Reece Shaw in the first place be put under the microscope?
But the main man who's still there
Who?
is Scott Clayton. He is the recruiting guru,
Well, we wouldn't know yet how he's going because he's only been there a year, hasn't he?
but he's still there, and rightly so.
Yeah.
Would they have to have paid Brad Scott out too? Did they sack Brad or did he resign?
unless it was the amount. He had 2 years left, but then they only had to pay him out the difference between if he got a new job somewhere and what he was on. And
Do
then
you
he got a
think
job in
that's
the
where
AFL.
the AFL came to the party?
I don't know.
Well, they were
yeah.
an assisted club.
Yeah, I would say
and Brad is now working at the AFL or
Yeah, so
in
he
some
was of
capacity.
use there.
So the AFL have come to their help.
Well, no, not so. If the AFL are assisting the North Melbourne Football Club or any football club, right, you would say that indirectly they're paying him out anyway, so they may as well put him to use because he's a clever bloke.
Now,
Hmm.
He's a good fella, Brad.
I'm not.
I'm just saying. No, I'm just making that point.
right.
Did you watch the netball on the weekend?
He says it every week.
I
No, I don't. I've gone cold on it because you idiots don't watch it.
missed.
There was a great game, Fever.
I did miss Geelong and Port Adelaide.
Yes.
And I did miss the other thing you asked me, the cricket. What did you else ask me
Oh,
to
the
watch?
cricket on Sunday night.
I did miss the doco
documentary.
on that, and I missed the netball.
Netball.
What happened?
Well, Fever.
Hey?
Fever, this is the Western Australian team.
Fever.
Yes, they're called Western Australian Fever.
Wow.
Beat the New South Wales Swifts.
Fever beat the Swifts.
The Vixens, by the way, the Melbourne Vixens are in the grand final.
Would you be going along?
No, it's in the bubble in Queensland. I'll watch it on television.
Would you have gone?
I don't know whether I would have gone.
What
but
do you
I
like
get,
about it?
You get a better view on the television.
Yeah,
But
of what?
two young players. One had a football connection. Alice Teague Neld. Her father, Mark, coached Melbourne.
Mark Neild.
Yes, she could be an Australian player.
Neld,
Started
you
off
said.
at the Vixens, went to Magpies, and now is a goal attack for Fever. If she was to get her 2-point shots together, they play now. You can get 2 and 1 points. It's
This
just
is not
coming.
sport, you know that. This was
What,
just
netball?
We were just talking about generally. We've done the sport.
Well, I
But
didn't.
go ahead. No, it's good, Don. I'm with you.
Well, anyway, she could be a player of the future, and they unearthed a young goal defender. Now, I know a Christian name is Sunday, but I have
Chocolate?
I just have difficulty pronouncing the
Afternoon.
surname.
Afternoon.
You ready? Aryang.
Aryang. Ariang.
Aryang. Okay, Sunday Yaryang. A 19-year-old. Her interception.
Sunday Ariang.
Okay, well, her intercepts in that game were just sensational. Great anticipation.
You
So there's
heard
2
it-
new players for Fever.
Have you heard of the Chadwick Model Agency?
Yes.
You probably
Well,
would.
you would have been.
I was going to say, remember Simon
No, I didn't.
O'Donnell said that his cousin or something had a...
John O'Donnell played for St Kilda.
Do you remember he said he had a fashion...
Called Balance. It was called Balance. if
and
you
he
really
said
wanna
you were
know.
in there because you used to do a bit of modelling.
I didn't model ever. Simon would just run away with a little bit.
Anyhow, Chadwick Model Agency they have removed the measurements off their models. Now you're not allowed to say 36, 24,
How
36.
do you book one? if you're having a showing.
That's exactly the point, Donald. You can now make a private inquiry as to what the model's measurements are, so you can see if that suits your purpose for what you want them for, but you're not allowed to display their models because it's sort of body
hang
shame.
on the dossier or the book that comes
Yes.
out, all the
on their profiles.
specifications are usually there.
Because it's body shaming for those people who mightn't have quite the model body, if you know what I mean. Extraordinary.
They wouldn't be models then, would they?
Well, I know, but, it's like the grid girls at the Grand Prix. Not allowed to have girls holding flags because...
Why?
Well, because they said it's exploiting women. Mind you, those women who
they
have...
get paid and they...
Don, please.
What's your ruling again, though, Sam, on the simple ruling on how people should be shaped?
Yes, no, this is my general profile.
Because I don't fit it.
If you're a man, if you're a woman, I'll do the woman first. This is my general rule of thumb, Donald. If you're a woman thinking should you go out with a man, never go out with a man whose stomach sticks out farther than his chest.
That rules me out.
Yeah, because he can't see his old fella or what?
No, because he's just fat.
It's because he's fat, yep. And you'll love this next one. I don't know why I'm going to say it, but who cares? Because it's... And if you're a man, never go out with a woman whose ass is wider than her shoulders.
Which is not the fashion now. The fashion now is that. I don't know.
No, that's just a joke.
Can I ask you something else? I came up along Beach Road again, and every time I come up along that, why do people in Melbourne, and especially the joggers and the bike riders, wear dark colours? When are they going to realise that they are a danger to motorists? You cannot see them. They should be wearing high-vis colours. They stand out because black blends in.
Yes, with the bitumen.
Not the bitumen, the shadows of trees, shadows mainly, because they're shadows cast from trees, lampposts, houses, cars, whatever else. Shadows predominate.
And yet, Don, you can't put your arm out on your window store of your car.
But it shows a lack of imagination. Melburnians have a lack. Well, even you've got black on today. Why have you got black and grey, dull colours?
Oh, yeah, because I'm not riding a bike and I'm sitting inside here.
We lack imagination with regard to colour coordination.
Don.
Oh, how's the time going, by the way?
Pardon?
How's the time
We're still
going?
an hour behind.
We're an hour behind? Okay, good.
Don.
You can do two things at once. Look
Don.
at the clock and speak to me.
What do you think of this? Now, quite seriously, the Anti-Defamation Commission has cited the fact that they don't think it's correct that there is a sale of Nazi memorabilia going on at one of the big auction houses. And they say it is absolutely disgraceful that Nazi memorabilia is being auctioned or sold at a auction house for people who want some memorabilia. Do you think that that is fair? If you wanted to buy some Nazi memorabilia that was had a certificate of authenticity, do you think that you should be allowed to sell that?
Well, again, times have changed. My uncle, who went to the Second World War, was in the army.
Yes.
Brought back a samurai sword.
Yes.
There was a lot of army things available when we were youngsters growing up. Kit bags, helmets, German helmets, the hard hats. Used to turn them over, use them as water troughs for the chooks. The Australian ones were pretty... but things have changed, John.
So if you...
It's a good point, though.
Once upon a time, it was just an accepted thing and nobody worried about it. I remember the samurai sword. We weren't allowed to, as children, we used to sneak into the house.
I'm not saying Christie's do this or Lloyd's or whoever is the auction house. If you went along to a auction house and it had Nazi memorabilia for sale or auction, do you think it's all right and not discriminatory or not against any principle that you could bid for a legitimate piece of Nazi memorabilia? Like if there was a letter signed by Adolf Hitler up in a frame, up on a thing, handwritten letter by Adolf Hitler, and the bidding got up to whatever, do you think it's reasonable or okay to bid for it?
It's an issue at the moment, but in 1,000 years' time, people won't even. I think they should keep
1,000
it.
years.
In 1,000 years'
see.
time, they look back.
I don't. I think it'd be the other way. I think we've gone the other way. I feel like, and I could be wrong, I'm just having this thought out loud. Don't jump on me. I feel like 20 years ago that would have been understandable. People would buy it because they're war historians, right? People are into war and their history buffs like that.
Yep.
But I feel like now, I mean, could you imagine now somebody trying to buy something to do, like some sort of history to do with slavery? You'd be shot if that was. If someone tried to sell something,
you'd keep those things.
You're joking, aren't you? They're pulling down monuments in
that's
America.
what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
So it's a similar thing, isn't it? I mean,
Well, no,
but because it fits into a war history buff type of category, it seems a little bit more acceptable, maybe. Because I mean, I don't know. But I feel like, Don, the longer we go on with PC,
With what political correctness?
yeah, I don't think it will be. I think it'll get less and less value. It'll be more and more.
No, I think you should keep it because.
I know.
I think
History's
you'll look
history,
back
yeah.
on this area.
But
And
it's really
who's
tricky.
to judge when it comes to war who is right and who is wrong?
Oh, well,
Oh, no, I think-
I mean,
I think
even
torturing
Australia, beg your
I
pardon?
think what happened is pretty
Well,
wrong.
you can talk about Japanese, you can talk about Australians. I will tell you something now.
Will you?
Okay, now, my father came back from the war,
Did he?
and we as young children, brother, sister and I, went down and had a look at his stuff that he brought back from the war, and in that was a photograph of a New Guinea fuzzy wuzzy.
Yep.
They used to help in New Guinea,
Yes.
in the New Guinea War.
On the
they were
Kokoda
with,
Trail.
well, and other places. And
You ever walked
and he
up
had
it?
a photograph of a native who had scalped a Japanese soldier, and he had him by the hair. Now, don't tell me about the Allies and whatever. All's fair. There's an old saying, all's fair in love and war.
Yes.
And so we think that we are righteous or whatever else. We're just as much to blame. All's fair in love and war.
Yes. Donald, have you ever walked up the Kokoda Trail?
No, I haven't, but I don't think I would, and I
Why?
take my hat off to the people. I've seen It's all right walking it now, but imagine walking it in wartime when they had suffering from dysentery. They were carrying people who were injured.
Munitions,
Oh, the whole lot.
guns, cannons.
And how far would those guys get in a day? You've walked the track, so you've done a bit of history on it.
Yes.
How far would they walk in a day when they were in the war?
Not long.
Not far, would it?
No, not. And it's one of the most emotional things you'll do. I did it
Why
with
is
Gary.
that?
Oh, I'll tell you that. I'll tell you, Don. One of the emotional things I did it with Gary Lyon, and you get to the memorials at various stages. There's memorials, and on Anzac Day, the powers that be are flown in from Australia, and they land in the helicopters and get out. And it is extraordinary to be there and think, as you exactly said, that this is rugged terrain, that boys and men, I don't think there were women.
No, there weren't.
I stand corrected.
No, there weren't.
But boys and men were thrust into that war in the most horrendous country, carrying stuff, guns, and it is the most emotional thing you'll ever did. And I did it with Gary Lyon on behalf of the Papua New Guinea Tourist Bureau. And we went up there. I did it about 5 years ago, I think. And it was the most horrendous thing I've ever done. And when you get to one of the memorials, the person leading a bloke called Peter from, I should know his name. I should know. It's called
Anyway, keep going.
No Boundaries. I think it's...
Keep going.
He's Peter Miller. He was our guide. There was just two of us and him. And they give you a letter to read out. And we were being filmed, and Peter Miller said to Gary, he said, "Read this letter out, please." And it's a moment of sobriety and somberness. He said, "Stand in front of this memorial and read out this letter." So this was on film, and Gary, it was a letter that this boy had written to his mother, and his mother had received it after he'd been shot and killed. And so Gary started to read it out, and he said, "Dear Mum, just saying that times are pretty tough here and am missing you." And Gary started to fault.
up.
He couldn't. And I said, "Gary, for God's sake, man, give me the letter, I'll do it." So I went up and I never even got more than 2 words out. I looked at it.
Is that through exhaustion? Or
No,
you
just
were
through emotion. And it is, you wouldn't think that you couldn't read a letter out, but when you're standing there in the middle of this rugged terrain, knowing that the boy had been shot and his mother hadn't read the letter and thinking that he was okay, it is a horrendous experience. And
do you realise boys were forging their age to go to war? They were turned 16, 17, forging their age to go to war.
Probably the most exhilarating.
That's the Second World War we're talking about.
It is. It is
the other thing that came out of it for me, my father has now passed away. He's not a religious man, but he was against all religions. The only religion he said that was of any value as far as he was concerned was the Salvation Army. He said they were up on the front line. He said the other religions would pray for you before you went into battle and stand down the back somewhere.
Yeah.
But the Salvation Army were right up on the front line assisting the soldiers. Interesting statement.
Well, it is interesting, Donald. Did you know this? I was watching, this was one of the docos. I didn't see it on Langer and that boy Kazaja, or whatever you called him. I saw a doco on Victoria. Did you know there's 400 dormant volcanoes in the southeast of Victoria?
Yes,
Did
exactly.
you know that? The last one that erupted was 5,000 years ago, which in the evolution of the world is like 1 microsecond away. And they say at any stage, if there's a earthquake or a tsunami, that any one of those 400 volcanoes could erupt. Did you know that we were in a volcano belt?
Exactly. We've got a fault line at Frankston. Did you realise there's a fault line at Frankston?
No.
Yeah, that's right.
Wouldn't it be shocking if it decimated Frankston?
And exactly what you're saying could happen, and it stretches down to Gippsland.
Imagine
like
if
you'd have a train line.
Imagine if it wiped Frankston off the map.
Well, what is it? San Andreas fault line?
Hey.
Fault line? San Francisco's on that, isn't it?
A huge tsunami and volcano went through Frankston, and it did $8 billion worth of improvements to it. Now, that's a joke.
Really?
Well, for the people from Frankston ringing. So now Trump, just finally this.
Talking about Trump, I'm just looking
Oh, well,
over
I was
your
about
right shoulder.
Yep.
What's that cap you've got?
Make America Great Again.
Where did you get that from?
Where'd I get it from?
Yes, that's from America.
Yeah, from America.
Can I have a look at it?
What?
Pass it over,
just
please.
All right.
Somebody obviously sent it. Can I have a look at it?
Careful, Don. Don't let that rub off on you.
Corey
Make
McKernan
America
got it
great.
for me.
It's got the American flag.
Corey
on it.
McKernan got it for me. I asked him to bring it back.
Really?
Now, Trump.
You going to wear it?
No,
So Trump,
You're not.
I hope not.
Well, you're not him. Are you going to wear it?
I've been wearing it. I wear it down to golf and pisses off all the people I play with. That's how it's my little advantage. I have.
Hang
golf.
on. Where are you playing golf?
Well, when I was allowed to.
Do you think you're the reason why people are not playing golf?
That's a very good question. I wouldn't put it past that man to be so spiteful and to
Well,
be
he sent the police around to you.
Didn't I say this in the last segment?
be so spiteful.
I forget. My memory's going.
Yeah.
Which segment was that?
In the first segment about
What
sport.
did we do
Don.
in the first segment?
Now we're just finally winding this up. Now listen, Don. Trump has got coronavirus, and the people who don't like him, you want to see the Twitter barrage of him saying they hope he dies and they hope it can't happen soon enough, and people say, oh, that's a disgraceful thing to say. Who cares if you tweet that you hope someone you don't like dies? What does it matter? You can say whatever you like. They're all saying, oh, people have said, gee, I hope Melania and he die from... What's it matter what they say? They're just words. Who gives us stuff? Why would you worry about that?
I thought Joe Biden was very gracious, hoping that the president and the First Lady
Of course,
recover. I
of
thought he was
course.
very, very gracious.
Because it's-
after the hammering he received.
Well, because it's just a political thing.
Okay.
We haven't talked about the debate, Sam. How do you reckon your guy went?
Oh, that was disgraceful, but enough's been said about that.
I'm going to read
Could
this.
I ask you one thing, please?
Comment.
Well, no, how did the debate go?
How
It
did
was
we
just-
this is home? This is really close to home here. How did we appear in the paper last week?
For going down, having a legitimate reason to be
Was
more
it the
than
fact
five.
that the car you were driving draws attention
Yes,
to?
because we were followed by
Yeah, but
a
is it the car that you
disreputable
drive?
news organisation who is after us because we're after them.
Yes, but do you think it could be you with the car that you drive? It really does stand out and draws attention.
Well, so what?
So
I'm happy. I'm quite happy to have been cited for being 5K out of my zone because we had a legitimate reason to be where we were. No one ever. I told the bloke who rang me, the arse hat,
What's his name? Arse hat.
Arse hat.
What is he? He's not Caucasian. Arse hat. What? Billy? Fred?
He's not.
Fred Arse
Did
hat.
you say he's not Caucasian? Because I.
Well, I mean,
thought
that's
you were
not
being- I
an
thought you were being
Anglo-Saxon name. What's his name? Billy Arshat. Arshat.
Are you being serious?
He's.
What's
The
his
Arshat.
name? What's his Christian? What's his
Charles R. Sat.
Charles Arshat?
The R is his middle initial.
And so you've played
R
with
is
his
middle
word and
initial.
got arse. What? You've played with his name.
Cock breath. He put in the fact he rang me up and said, "Why were you 5K away from your domiciled address?"
Cock breath.
Cock breath. And I said,
Can you-
Why am I explaining to you I was 5K away? He said, "Well, I was just wondering if you if you'd like to try and explain." I said, "Why would I be explaining to you, you fucking idiot?" I said, "Go away." And then he put it in the paper and he still said that I was 5K away. I said I was, but I had a legitimate reason. So fucking Jesus, seriously,
Good
people.
names, aren't they? Cock breath.
Cock breath,
Yes, he's
arse hat, and knob jockey. I call him a knob jockey. Because he is anyway, it's not his fault. Now, I want to read this out. There's a moral to this, Don. Now, we're finishing on this, all right? This. My girlfriend, so you can listen to this, Don. And it's pretty in small print, so I'll have to. My girlfriend and I had been dating for over a year, and so we decided to get married. There was only one little thing that was bothering me. It was her boyfriend. No, not her boyfriend. It was her beautiful, sexy younger sister, right?
Hang on, start again and be a little more
Well,
fluent.
I'm trying to read it. So there was only one thing that was bothering me. This bloke was going to marry this girl. There was only one thing bothering me, and that was her beautiful younger sister. One day, her sister asked me to come home. One day, her sister asked me to come
You
home.
just better have a good punchline.
I'm just trying to read because it's so small. She was alone. This is the sexy young sister. She was alone when I arrived, and she whispered to me that she had feelings for me and desires me in bed, and that she couldn't get over me. She told me that she wanted me just once before I got married to her older sister. Well, I was in total shock and couldn't say a word. She said, "I'm going upstairs to my bedroom, and if you want one last fling, just come up and get me." I stood there for a moment, thinking, then turned and walked straight out the front door and headed towards my car. Lord, lo and behold, I saw the entire family with my fiancé standing outside and clapping. My girlfriend, with tears in her eyes, ran to me and hugged me. My father-in-law took my hand and said, "I am very happy that you've passed our test. We couldn't ask for a better man for our daughter. Welcome to our family." And the moral of the story is, Donald, always keep your condoms in your car and not in your trousers.